What's up, pinball fans? So I've got something special for you guys today. Before we get into it, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Matt Cristiano from Planetary Pinball for inviting me out to film this. If you don't know Planetary Pinball, they're a company that sells pinball parts, restoration supplies, and so much more. I'll put a link down in the description below. I also want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Randy Peck, the man who owns this machine, who was generous enough to bring it out for us to get a look at it. So what are we looking at? A one-of-a-kind Gottlieb Prototype from the early 70s, a home-use version of the game Texas Ranger. And as far as anyone knows, this is the only one that exists. Gottlieb was exploring whether they could bring a pinball machine into your home during the 70s. So this video will be showing what came out of that experiment. And the person walking us through this, and the one that restored it, John Osborne, a former Gottlieb designer. The man behind games like Strange World, Hit the Deck, Volcano, and another little game you might have heard of called Haunted House. So grab a snack, settle in, because this one runs for about 40 minutes. Enjoy.
My name is John Osborne, and we are here at Matt Cristiano's fabulous ranch for one of his infamous Fix-a-thon weekends. And I'm here to show you this Texas Ranger game, which was Gottlieb's attempt at a home game. I began at Gottlieb in the fall of '72, and this game was already built. It was in the engineering department in the playing room, and nobody was doing anything with it. It had been abandoned. So whatever resonance that has, you know, I was no part of its development. I played it once or twice, saw the differences in the way it was built. Seemed like a good idea, but as you'll see, it was not a good idea. The first innovative thing is the way the game is stored, that you would receive the game like this with the light box folded down. There's a big hinge there. You don't have to connect any plugs. So anybody could set this game up. There's no decisions to make. You simply have to pull the line cord out the back, drop the ball in, and you're ready to go. This is the front of the game, but you can a little bit see here that the front is coming off. The front really was almost off when I got the game. So I think the game had been dropped. There was no other evidence of it having been dropped, but I think that's what happened. So I do a lot of work with mechanical musical instruments, and one of the things we use in piano repair is hot glue, hot hide glue, and that's what I use to put this back together. That's the front. See, here's the normal hold down, and there's an extension that goes down underneath. So you can remove the front molding without, you don't need a key, you don't need to reach up there. It's just a piece of copper strip that they welded on.
Because there's no coin door to be able.
There's no coin door, yeah. A lot of this game is very improvisational because, like I said, let's try this. I don't know if we're going to do this later. So there's a lot of decisions that were made that we really don't know what they would have ended up with. This is like a prototype that's frozen in time. So there's a lot of things you're going to see that, well, they probably wouldn't really do that, or they would do it differently. This is the bottom of the light box. Back here, there's a strip that extends down from the light box. I don't know why they did that, but that has two holes in it that you're supposed to put screws through here into the cabinet. There's already two bolts in the cabinet inside the light box, which is perfectly adequate. The light box isn't going to go anywhere because it's secured to the game with a hinge. But they have these two external holes, and that piece is just looking to be broken off. I don't know why they did that. I glued it back. I also have two bolts in there, but loose. I don't tighten it because I don't want any stress, because it'll come off again. So for some reason, they felt they had to add this extension, this tail on the light box. That's the holes for the hinge. You see they made a few changes. They made a few, oops, while they were drilling the holes. Now you can see the bottom of the light box in these holes. This is for the hinge. And the piece here is still broken off.
John, do you think they might have put that strip on before they put the hinge? Maybe they started out without the hinge.
No, I don't think so, because one of the main points of this is that you don't have to connect, connect the connectors in the back. So I think the hinge was probably one of the first ideas they had. This is the top of the light box. There. This is how they retained the glass. A small block with like a tongue glued to it. You can see it right here. Meanwhile, the rest of the glass is completely exposed. Anything you care to drop down there, any bugs, dust, anything completely exposed. Again, they wouldn't really have sent that out like that, you think? I don't think so. This is stamped on the underside of the cabinet. Anybody ever heard of that company? I don't know. It might be just a stamp. Yeah, it might be a stamp on the lumber. It might be just a lumber stamp for the bottom. But anybody ever seen this on a regular cabinet, production cabinet anywhere? No?
So that's probably just the lumber stamp.
Well,
Again, you guess. It doesn't seem likely they would have sent to Taiwan for one cabinet either, you know. Yeah. There's the inside of the cabinet. Standard lockdown, standard everything, shooter, start button, tilt. This is covering the opening where you reach down to remove the front molding. Standard saddles, nothing in it. Bell, 2 bells, and a knocker. And there's the tilt. This is starting, you can see that this is made with a lot of leftover parts. The bell shell has the modern zinc chromate plating. Probably still hexavalent, but it was safer than this. This is the old copper zinc plating, which was obsolete by this time. Also obsolete by this time were bells. Everybody had been in chimes since, geez, what, 67 or something? So there they are. There's your bells. And a knocker, standard knocker. This is where the bells and the knocker would be, and you can see that they just hand drew these holes. Where should we put this? Again, very hand-built, very improvisational. There's the hinge. Now you can see the hinge. And what's unusual is only these screws, not the screws in the light box. These are the only screws, for some reason, that are Phillips head. Why did they do that? What in the world were they doing that for? I mean, they couldn't find any screws in the stock room? Yeah. There's the light box. We'll see some other pictures later, but only 3 score units, 2 dummy zeros, transformer, motor. Let's see. All right, there's the motor. We'll see this later, but you'll notice here's this loose wiring. It's all throughout the light box. When I first saw that, I thought, who did this? We would never do this at Gottlieb. And certainly not with plastic wiring. Plastic wiring means 120 volts. Well, this turns out this is 120 volts. It's this circuitry was added to reset the bank, reset the target bank. And I'll show you a schematic on that later. But all right, well, anyway, that's just it. That was surprising to see. This is a new switch. It's showing normally closed because it's on motor 2C. So this switch is normally closed on the schematic. Transformer, looking down on it, impossible of assembly. One of these holes that's in the corner is completely inaccessible. The only way to put that bolt through from the bottom side and get the nut on it is to take the nut and tape it to the socket. The only way you can start that thing. I don't know how they would have done that on the assembly line, but odd place to put the transformer. And as I say, it's inaccessible to remove or replace.
The transformer's in the light box?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Stock transformer, right?
Yeah. It's. I think it's a 3235. I'm not sure what it is, but it's not a 240 volt transformer.
Not a specialized.
No.
version
A relay strip. These are the relays you would expect to see in the bottom board. Tilt, lock relay, out-hole relay. And this interlock is both start and reset together. Yeah, the relay strip, again, strictly, where are we going to mount this thing? Make a mark. See, you can see some where the strapping has been laid out here. Now this is the inside of the light box. This is the side. This is the insert, the motor. This is how the insert is held in the cabinet. By 4 screws driven at an angle. That's it. No latching, none of this swiveling down to change the bulbs, none of that. It's like it's screwed in permanently. Oh, now the features that are not here are those 2 star rollovers. The star rollovers in the original game step this thing around, the horseshoe. Every 10 steps it gives you a bonus. I'm not sure how they got this, because as I remember, when we would get these star rollovers, this insert piece was already removed. You know, so you just took the white star and snapped it in and you're ready to go. So I'm not sure whether they got those made specially, maybe from the molder or what, but anyway, they're not star rollovers, they don't do anything, although there's lights. There's a light behind each one. They come to you like that? Okay.
You have to punch them out.
Okay, I believe, I just don't remember that. And they seem to me they would have been all over the factory floor, those little stars too. But
It's possible they punched them out at the cabinet makers when they were printing the plate.
that's probably it, yeah, because it wouldn't be loose for us. That's right. That's right. Another feature removed, the ball back gate. So here's the shooter runway. They wrote that on there. This little piece of wood dropped in, screwed in from underneath. Forget about the gate. Ball back gate. 3 targets, all different from the original game. This and this are covered over. These are pieces of paper. They're stuck down over the text. They're pieces of paper that were stuck down to cover the text. What did you say you think they said, Randy?
Well, there's some numbers on it. If you look really, really carefully, you can see, you know, like a 5 and a 0.
So what they do now is just 500 and add the bonus. But on the original game, I think the original Texas Ranger, the middle target turns the super bonus on, and these 2 turn it off, that's kind of funny that they would do that. Usually, certainly in a game, certainly in a Gottlieb game, when they give you something, you don't take it away. You know, so they have some turn outs. I guess it's like bumpers on, bumpers off kind of a feature. Anyway, so that's covered up, and it doesn't seem to be wearing out too much from all the play that the game has had. These are the holes showing the snubber rails. They're not here, but you can see they were. There's some evidence that they were there. So I put them back in. Now I'm starting to think maybe those marks show the snubber rails were there from the playfield they used. They just, you know, snagged an old Texas Ranger playfield. So we can't know. We can't, this is one of these things we can't know. Frankly, I could see if it's a home game with features stripped out, you could probably do without those rails. Save yourself a penny and not put those rails in.
It's just to prevent cheating. So who cares?
Right, who cares, right.
Anti-bang back, so.
Exactly, yeah, so what? You know,
So if you cheated on a home game.
Right.
Don't look out for it.
It's to your benefit.
Correct.
The hats. Several of the hats are marked 3/4, which again is kind of unusual. Here we have an existing playfield that's been on how many games, and they have to mark the size of the hats. But anyway, somebody wrote it. It's in several places. That's what you were mentioning, and they're varnished over so they won't come off.
That's just the dimension, 3/4 of an inch?
Yeah, that's just a 3/4 inch hat. Posts. There's 2 styles of posts on this game for some reason. Again, new and old. Most of the game is built with this newer style of post with the heavy facets. Around the drop targets, for some reason, is the old style post on your right. Doesn't make a difference, of course, but there is they did change the style somewhere along there. Those little hi-hat nuts hold down the plastics. I'm sure you've all seen those. There were a few missing. I replaced them with the little round rubber ball types. Couldn't find any. Nobody seemed to have those. So I think we used those for a while. Don't know when we stopped because they're nice to get off. It was such a relief from those metal acorn nuts that you can never get off. So we went to these. What would happen though, sometimes there'd be so much vibration in the game, they would walk right off the post and end up on the playfield. So we stopped doing that. Wiring inside no longer used. There's a lot of this. Wires taped back, closed off. And here's one, something that I guess we would see for a custom, but you'd never see it in a real game. 3 wires tied together. Never have 3 wires on a terminal in a Gottlieb game. Hard and fast wiring rule. And notice it's yellow, blue, red, so I don't know if that would be a scoring wire or, who knows. All right, this is the schematic for the bank reset. And this is all plastic wire, and up to the fuse, that's the loose added wire in the machine. Note, and the red wire is wired directly to the power switch, the on-off switch in the back. Couldn't pick a worse place to locate it, but that's where it is. You notice that normally closed switch on motor 2C. That's the one you saw in the picture. And then on the ball count unit, the next switch over, 6-position ball count unit, that's a new switch. They added that to the ball count unit. So when the ball gets in the out hole, the O relay, the ball count unit resets, that switch is closed, and now the motor starts to run, and you get a pulse right away. The moment the motor starts to run, you got a circuit going right through. Motor 2C opens, the bank drops, motor keeps turning, the bank pulls in again because now 2C is closed and remains on until the motor 2B drops out the O relay. The I relay is the last target down, works the same way. But because of the motor 2C, you get 2 hits. You get a bang, bang. Again, that's probably not on purpose. Maybe they installed the wrong switch. Who knows? But of course, I'm not going to fix it. I'm not going to change it because that's the way it came to me. And actually, that's my last picture.
Normally, that would be an open switch.
You would think so.
2C.
Yeah, to give you 1 hit. Yeah.
I mean, in a production game, that's a very common bank reset.
Yeah, yeah. The light box advance unit in the back, it's not called that. Of course, nothing is labeled. For the high score, I had thought when I first saw this that you'd get an extra ball. I mean, that seems pretty reasonable for a home game. These lights here for the Italian extra ball, added ball, are nothing. There's nothing back there. Just the high score here. So it's like an Italian novelty. So when you get a wow, that's 50,000 and 5 knocks, typical of an Italian added ball. The light, there is a light in front of the bank that says wow when lit. That light is right across the 6-volt line. It's always on. And in the original Texas Ranger, it's always on. So I think maybe in Atlantis or other uses, they probably had that go on and off for some reason.
You would score 5,000 if you hit a blue and a white drop target at the same time.
I think that's only on Atlantis.
Only on Atlantis.
Yeah, that was one thing that was kind of clever about that game. Yeah, yeah, that was a nice feature. I'll have to give him that. Oh, there is no tilt reset. You tilt the game, you're done. The ball gets in the out hole and counts down to game over. The bank reset circuitry is the biggest amount of changes. There's no tilt reset.
So in American games, we're used to the knocker announcing an award being given, a replay or an added ball.
Mm-hmm.
But you started to say in the Italian added balls, they use it for another purpose?
Well, Italian added balls can be set for 2 ways. Italian added balls are actually 2 games in 1. If you set them for added ball, you get a knock every time you get an added ball. And that's recorded, that's shown up here. Because you're not allowed to step up the ball count unit. You're not allowed to do that. So the 1 balls have to be kind of stashed someplace else. That's the light box advance unit. If you set it for novelty, a wow is 50,000 points and 5 knocks. You get a knock if you get an extra ball, but you get 5 knocks on 50,000.
So instead of a new chime or a new bell, they just repurpose the knocker.
Right.
Your 10,000 score sound.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I can't recall if on a regular Italian added ball, you get a knock every time you get 10,000. I'm not sure. I think, but I'm not sure if even then. I'm thinking the only time you hear the knocker is you get a wow, not just 9,000 to 10,000.
I think you might be right.
Yeah, we have to look at the print on that. Yeah, 2 dummy zeros. You saw that. So what's wrong with this thing? What's the deal here? It was natural that they would take an Italian added ball, single player size, no replay unit, high scores that are there, because that's what they had in mind. But other than that, imagine getting this game with the light box folded down, picking it up. It seems real nice, the light box is attached, but now you've got the entire weight of the game at the back of this thing, and it is a heavy lift. Even the small cabinet, it is a heavy lift. Also, if you want to take the game down, you stand it on end, there's no way to lash the light box to the cabinet. So when it's standing this way, the light box can, you don't know where it's going to go. Yeah. Also, imagine you're bringing this thing home, got a game dolly. How are you going to get those legs on there? How are you going to set this thing up? I don't know if they ever thought that through. The French company Rally had a real good idea. They had their legs attached to the cabinet. You would swing them down and then just put a bolt through. Maybe they would have done something like that. There's no way to know. Would have cost an awful lot. I think probably the cost of this game would probably, you would have been better off going to a distributor and just buying a good used game for your home. You saw the pictures of the cabling. It's a real cable. It's a real game, except for these few features taken out. Still all that hand labor in there,
Right, so yeah, you're almost building it just a slightly simpler production game.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. The other thing they took out, there is no switch in the ball return trough. It would step the ball count unit, No, the ball counts are subtracted in the out hole by the O relay. So, sounds like a good idea, but if the out hole kicks and it doesn't work, the ball comes back, you lose another ball.
Does it have a ball index?
Nope. Every time the ball goes in the out hole, you lose a ball. So I think your customers are going to make you aware of that once they get in their home. What? Oh, yeah.
I keep looking at the diamonds on the artwork on the side of the cabinet. Looks very similar to the colors used in El Dorado or one of those games. Is there something made to look?
I would tend to doubt it. They say they probably drew up the cabinet. Doc drew up the cabinet because it's so new, sent it out, and they just said, put something on it. Does anybody recognize this? It looks like it's from a real game. Does anybody recognize this? You tell me, because it.
Something along the lines of that kind of a game.
Uh-huh.
Certainly not the colors, but the pattern reminds me of a production game. I thought it was King of Diamonds, but actually I don't recall.
Yeah, it looks like something that was borrowed, yeah.
But John, do you think this is the first game with a fold-down head?
It's the only game with a fold-down head, I think.
Well, I mean, all games have fold-down heads now.
Modern one.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's we're talking way, way, way back here. There was no such thing as solid state even when this came out. Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that they were doing this in '72, and Bally didn't do the home models till '77.
But those were
Yeah.
solid state.
Right.
Yeah, they took a lot of material out. And where would you buy this? Where would you go? Well,
Catalog, Sears.
that's what I was thinking. Sears, maybe someplace like Sharper Image, a sporting goods store, Eddie Bauer, maybe.
Would be like a washing machine delivery, right? You'd order the washer, here this guy comes and puts it where you want.
Yeah, you'd have, well, maybe it would have to be delivered. But the idea with no light box plugs, you set it up yourself. Maybe Radio Shack would have had it.
So it is completely hardwired. You can't take the top of the box.
You can, yeah, you have to unplug the plugs. And as far as I know, that would be all. And undo all the screws, and unscrew all the hinge screws. There is one of the 120 volt wires was run from, let's see, orange, no? Yeah, I think it's the orange wire going from the bank reset fuses to the out hole and the I relay is the only wire that goes from the top to the bottom. And they didn't bother to put it through a plug. It's just a hard wire, point-to-point wiring. So if you wanted to remove the light box, which I had to, so I did cheat. I did put in a wire nut. So if we ever had to remove the light box, we could do it.
But if they ever had to put this on a production line, they would have had to make them capable of being built separately.
Oh, of course. They
inserted in the playboard. So
oh yeah,
they would have been they would have had Jones plugs between them.
Right, of course,
They would have
yeah.
had to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all that 120 volt wiring, it's like they get this thing all together and, oh, how are we going to reset this bank? There's no start relay. Oh yeah, it's like they start winding wire around the harnesses. I can't tell whether the Lightbox cable was done on a cable board or by hand. I can't tell because I mean they could have made a cable board, but again that would have been a lot of work. But when we made our hand samples, the idea was to make it look as professional as possible. So like when I would do, say, a light box, well, say do a bottom board, I would put wire clamps all over the place and just start wiring, pull the wiring down, here's the first line on the schematic, and you thread it through, and as you finished, you would get the clamps bigger and bigger, and you cut the wires right. So it would look like a real, something professional. Lace it up. So that may have been done here. We don't know. We'll never know. And that's the other thing. Even Steve Young doesn't have anything on this game. There's no documentation.
Do you know who was working on this project?
No. It never really occurred to me to ask Wayne.
Right.
Maybe Wayne, maybe Eddie. There's several people that could have done it. And where did the idea come from? Did Judd say, I think the market needs a home game, or Alvin, or who knows? So
well, we know it really happened.
It really happened, yeah.
That's
Somebody
the amazing thing.
and they never tried it again. There was no ever repeated. So,
You said you had talked to Michael Gottlieb and he remembered it, but he didn't know anything about
Yeah,
it, or did he have any information?
yeah. So I emailed Michael Gottlieb, and he was so excited to. I just wanted to tell him everything about it. We had a pretty big email thread going, and he was so excited. He said, "Gosh, I remember visiting the factory as a little boy, and I remember seeing that game, and it's just one of those things from my childhood that I've kind of always wondered what happened to that game, and I'm so happy to hear that it's been found." And he was really excited. It was very sweet.
well, that's interesting. If he remembers that game, that certainly suggests that he played it. It was working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was just a kid then, so
Yep.
he wouldn't know who was working on it, probably.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
How long did it take you to get the game back into shape?
Not really that long. I had to figure out that wiring. Of course, that was the first thing I had to do. See, do we have a game here or not? I didn't know if the thing was even going to work. Didn't take that long. Just did the usual scrubbing of the playfield. I did not strip the playfield like I would in a restoration. This is not a restoration in the traditional sense. Cleaned it up. The game was pretty clean. The top glass had been on the game the whole time. Back door missing. Again, was there ever a back door? This is non-standard. This is a new size. So did they ever make one? Unknown. I had one. It's just a piece of lumber, But there was some rust on the transformer. There was a little corrosion in the light box. Just normal exposure to weather, but no water damage. Thank goodness the glass is good.
And that glass is a production glass
Yeah.
from the Italian Adabal
Right.
model.
They could have taken
It's not a special glass.
no. They could have taken any game. They could have taken any Italian game. Surely, if they were going to make this, they would change that name. You couldn't possibly use a game name. You'd be making so much confusion. Even if they just called it, Texas Lawman or any change to it. But it didn't matter what game they chose. Again, they wanted it for the glass and something with fairly simple features, fairly basic game.
So can I ask, just from a relatively non-technical perspective, how successful were they in reducing the cost and complexity compared to the commercial version of the game? Do you think that part of the project was a success? There may have been myriad other factors that prevented this from going into production, but do you think they were able to make it much more cost-effective?
I would guess not. They took out the star rollovers. They took out the ball back gate. They took out the that Lightbox Advance unit, which is now the high score unit, does not reset. It steps forward to 0 because it doesn't have to store balls. So it goes up to, I think, a million or something, and then for reset, they just step it forward to the next zero. So they eliminated a coil in that.
And then
And no start relay.
one score unit.
One score unit is gone.
How about the plated legs? Did they suffer?
The what?
The legs on the game.
Standard legs, as far as I know. I don't remember seeing any different legs at the time. Whether these are the legs that came with it, who knows? Oh, wait a minute. I don't know. I don't recall. Didn't we add these? Didn't we get these legs?
Yeah, I don't think.
I think the legs that came with them.
Legs with it.
Yeah, there were no
When we
legs.
moved it,
Yeah.
it was just sitting in a
Yeah,
storage
these are
unit.
just new
The
Steve
legs were all separate.
Steve Young legs.
I think, yeah, 'cause I think the legs that, yeah. So there were no legs in it when it came to me then.
And we'll actually never know what height they were intending with the 31-inch legs that you
Yeah.
get a standard height, but they
Yeah.
might have been thinking to lower it.
Maybe.
Like the Bally home games
Yeah.
were lower because they figured children were
Exactly.
playing.
Yeah.
So these might have had 27. Gottlieb also did 27-inch legs.
Mhm.
Right? Might have-
Well, but that was for when they went to
right,
the recessed front door.
right,
And I don't think they had that at this time. I
or
don't
28.
think.
I mean, that
Yeah,
was
but the-
Williams
but-
Valley. But
yeah.
my point is, you don't know which legs they were thinking they
Yeah,
would use. Yeah,
That
we'll
makes
never
sense.
know.
They would want a slightly shorter. You mentioned about the condition of the playfield. You know, at the time, the action on the playfield was immaterial to the engineering effort. This was a known game. Everybody knows the sheriff, lawman, Texas. They knew the game. We don't need to play it except to just see what the difference is in the features. So if this game had a total play meter on it, I'll bet there's probably not even 100 games on it. You know, all the whole time.
It's too bad there wasn't.
What's that?
It's too bad there wasn't. Interesting
Too expensive.
to see.
First thing to go is the total play
And
meter.
no point, right?
Yeah.
You're not auditing money through.
That's
the
right.
point slot.
That's right.
You don't care.
So this is the only one of its kind in the universe.
So you said the glass drops in from the top, so it wasn't really friendly to replacing bulbs.
Well, you just have to be real careful.
When you just think about any kind of moisture, like dirt, whatever can come.
Yeah, the top edge of that glass being exposed like that.
It definitely was just
And of course, being a tempered glass, anything really big fell down in there, look out. You know.
Is that glass or is it plexi?
Oh, it's glass.
Oh, it's glass.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 That would be a good place for a plexiglass, though. You're right. That would have been good.
And
Yeah.
I agree with you. I have to imagine that if that's gone to a production level, they would have covered that slot. I don't know.
I sure hope so.
Weird to
You
leave
can you
raw glass
speculate on things like this. I know. Yeah.
But we will never know.
And they would have rescreened the play field, of course, probably taken the star rollovers out, done something with those other targets.
Right.
So they certainly would have made an upgraded game out of it. Yeah. So what else do we got?
So it seems fairly cost effective to have done the exercise. What would it look like to make a home game in the electromechanical era? Because they used stock equipment.
They used older than stock equipment too. Yeah. But then again, they probably found out. They finally did this. They drew up a bill of material and they said, "Are you kidding?
Right.
You know, you took out $1 out of a $100 game." Yeah.
And certainly that cabinet is one of a kind.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I've certainly never seen any cabinet like that. So that would have been specially made.
I guess they thought they would be saving money by using standardized parts, so therefore they did not make, say, a shorter game. Smaller light box, less wood, less material. But then that would have been all new stuff, all new parts. So the light box, I think, is custom. I mean, wouldn't you say that all light boxes from that era, single player, were wedge shaped? It's just like I never.
I don't know of any light box shape like that. And
Right.
As you talk about it folding down, I mean, I'm sure that that's why the cabinet, all top and bottom, are all custom.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
No.
Same thing with the back door. The back door's new. Yes, sir.
I know you know who Rally Fliptronic is.
Of course.
Did you own one yourself?
Yes. I had a Rally Girl 4-player.
I renovated one for the museum in Alameda.
Which one?
West Club.
What? I'm sorry. What?
West Club.
West Club. Don't know that one. Don't know very many of them, but.
Discovered that it had a Gottlieb-style score motor in the back of the head.
Oh, okay, so maybe it's one of the earlier ones, because Rally Girl is really just a metric version of Gottlieb. AG relays.
Did they license it, or did they just copy it?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't
I don't know what the arrangement was. Yeah.
Some of that stuff was licensed, and some of it they just kind of copied.
You need to see that game one of these days. If we ever turn it up, you got to see that. It's just so peculiar, but so modernistic. I mean, you think this is the future. It really looks like this is the future of pinball because it's so jazzy looking.
They ran that score motor at double speed.
They did.
Yeah, when it reset the scores, the Nixie tubes.
Oh yeah, they used motor 1A and motor 4A in parallel. Those little Nixie tube scores could step so fast that you could reset it with one cycle of the motor. It was the only thing that could follow those bumpers. You know, the rally bumpers. They were so fast, and they didn't have that vertical pounding of pop bumpers. And there was a lot of innovation in those games, but just try to get parts.
So people have mentioned the rectangular backbox on Hearts and Spades and Spin-A-Card. It was the one time they made a wedge head that wasn't wedge shaped.
Okay.
Which had the little pilasters.
That's right.
But that box wasn't shaped like this one. This one has that drop bottom, like for the hinging and for the extra parts. So even though it's rectangular looking, it's still a different cabinet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is awfully cute.
Cute game.
It's really fun to play too.
It plays pretty well. Yeah, I think it plays pretty well, about as what you would expect. Is
But as you said, I mean, the gameplay, the playfield is a proven design.
Exactly.
We all know this layout and played it with different rules, but
action's going to be the same. The action's the same. Yeah.
It got used, for the multiplayer. It got used for Atlantis. It's a very popular layout.
So it just had to be, it wasn't cost effective to build it.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just think of the labor to put a game together. No matter how few features it has, the labor of it, it's still going to run down the regular playfield line and the regular. Well, it's going to be probably a special line. Would it go down the bottom board line, or would it go down the light box line for the rest of it? It's kind of both.
And then how long do you run it? How many do you make? How long are you going to sell it? It's not like
until Sears says stop.
Yeah.
Like in '72, what did a Texas Ranger Italian model sell for?
I don't know. I have no idea. I really don't know. Yeah.
Do you think that the distributors, like your boss, Tim, would have objected to Gottlieb selling something like this?
Well, my boss was an operator, so at that time in the early 70s, that pinball was so prevalent everywhere in public locations, he wouldn't have cared. Yeah, he wouldn't have cared. He would be doing so well.
Yeah, that makes sense, because the amount of home games from a distributor is minuscule. It wouldn't affect. Yeah.
Now, in the late 70s, when things started to go south, and even video came in, and we started to really lose the pinball business, he probably would have cared then. But then we had solid state by then, so.
And you figure pinball was dying off because of video. Video was dying off because of home video.
Yes.
Why would I buy this? If I've got.
By the early 80s, there was several knockout punches to the public coin-op.
Yeah. I don't think video. I never thought that video killed pinball.
Not directly.
That's not what happened.
But it was definitely the 1-2 punch of.
Well,
the
Gottlieb was petrified when they came out with the shuffle bowler in '53 or something. They were terrified. This is going to be what are we going to do? And then the bumper pool table craze. Gottlieb made a bumper pool table. I used to have a flyer on it. I don't have it anymore. I doubt if they made it, they probably just sold it. But it had the Gottlieb name on it, with a bunny pool, with the bumpers on it. That probably didn't do too well. And then the baseball game came along. Pitch and bat games came along. But nothing ever stopped pinball. It just kept on, kept on. I think pinball it no longer suited the public's fancy. It's just the public went not so much to other kinds of games, just away from pinball. Pinball had been around forever, and it was just, public is fickle. Well, I'm glad we did this. I'm glad the more people that saw this, the better. Yeah, thank you. Take a look in the back if you want. The back door is off. The game's out a little bit.
And thanks to Sam Harvey for preserving it.
Yes. Yes, it's had quite a chain of command, a chain of custody rather, over the years. Yeah.
Do we know where Sam got it?
He got it from John Norris.
Okay.
John Norris got it when he was at Gottlieb. I guess he was there when they started selling things off. What did I miss out on that? And there was so much stuff. I'm sorry I didn't walk out with. I don't mean thievery, but stuff they wouldn't have cared. I used to have a flip file of all the foreign games and the settings and everything. Even Steve doesn't have that. There's so much stuff that Steve doesn't have, and stuff up in the attic, like whatever happened to the bingo, whatever happened to the Humpty Dumpty, and the Bally game that the rocket.
Moonshot.
Moonshot. Yeah. Where the heck? Where did that go?
Oh, they had one.
Yeah. They had one for court cases to show one of the differences. Yeah, they also had a what am I trying to think of? The game, the bingo game, and a pinball game that had very similar Showboat, Gottlieb, Showtime, bingo, and they would take them to court, put them next to each other, so they're similar, but look at the difference. Yeah.
But John managed to get this before.
Yeah, that's right. They were selling all this junk, and and John got it. He thought it was going to be something kind of interesting, which is the understatement. But he said when he got it, he never set it up. He never plugged it in, never did anything with it, just tucked it away. And then he had to sell a bunch of stuff. He sold, I guess, a bunch of stuff to Sam. And then Sam got it, and then it ended up here. And now it's back here.
Right.
Circle of life. Yeah.
It's really lucky it exists.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me.
Yeah, it would have been very easy just to chuck it away and say, it's just an old prototype of
something. If you would tell people that Gottlieb had tried to do this, nobody would believe you.
Yeah.
A little bit of forgotten pinball.
There'd be no evidence.
Yeah.
Right?
There's no print. There's no schematic on it, which I'm surprised. I'm still kind of surprised at that. I can't help thinking that there had to be. I mean, how would you wire it up? Because a lot of the colors, wire colors in this game for circuitry that would be expected to be seen in any game are different colors than, say, would be in a Texas Ranger. I don't know why, but so there had to be documentation somewhere. There's got to be a print on it somewhere, but Steve doesn't have it. I guess if Steve doesn't have it, nobody's got it, So, all right. Well, thank you very much.
All right.
Yeah, glad to do it. Glad to do this.
So that was John Osborne on the Gottlieb home use Texas Ranger prototype game. It's a little bit of a mouthful, but this was so cool. I loved watching this restoration project. I really enjoy documenting things like this because these are pinball stories I know aren't going to be around forever. And getting to be there in that moment and watch just felt really cool. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Did you enjoy watching this process? Are you interested in more pinball history like this? I do also just want to thank again Matt Cristiano, Randy Peck, and John Osborne for this. You guys are awesome, and I thank you so much for letting me join this event so I could film it. If you're into this kind of content, I hope you hit that subscribe button, and I hope to be covering a lot more different pinball things like this. And I hope you get a chance to play some pinball today and support your local arcade maybe your in-house arcade. Give your home use machine some love. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Before I get into it, I want to give it, all right, I almost did it. We're gonna get it all in one take. All in one take. Here we go. I got it in the middle of that, so it took me away. Sorry. 4. Ooh, I forgot. He invited me to film it. Okay, here we go. It was good. We did pretty good there. I've got it.